Okay, dude, I think we're on.
All right, I'm Will,
Hey, I'm Jeffrey.
and this is Coffee Before Bed. Sans Pat,
Yeah,
since he's visiting the great state of
still in
Michigan.
Michigan? Yeah, I
Michigan.
think Michigan.
So yeah, welcome to the show.
Yeah, you've been to Michigan, right?
Did once.
Did you like it?
Um, it was fine. It was a weekend.
You weren't there long enough to really
No,
make a proper judgment, huh?
no, I couldn't really tell you anything about it. I definitely didn't go see Detroit, so I don't know if anybody
Why would you
does.
want to?
Well, they got the football team. They got the teams. So it would kind of be like, why else am I going to Michigan? Other than I do want to go to Ann Arbor someday and see a game there. I think that
See, I'm surprised that you didn't actually do that.
I don't think it was the right time of year.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, maybe someday. I don't know. Maybe just one day I want to go to one of the 100,000
That
stadiums
would be nuts.
and just see what that's like.
Because it's what you've got Ann Arbor, right? You've got
Ohio State and
yeah,
Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee. They all have. I think they all get in the Rose
there.
Bowl. But that's an old stadium.
See that would be kind of cool actually. Going to an old stadium?
Eh, be good. I mean, I think they're all pretty old. I don't know if any of them have
I don't think. Yeah.
been. I don't know if they. I don't see why they wouldn't build 100,000. It's not like it's not sold out. And with how they're
Yeah,
setting up
you're
college
fucking
football
nuts. Yeah,
now,
yeah.
the good teams are just going to stay good forever.
I thought parity was finally starting to come to college football in the past
You're only
like
going to
10
have
years.
like three divisions, and
Oh,
that's going to be college football.
why?
Because it's going to be pay to play. So it's
Oh,
going to be who
oh,
has
right,
money
right.
is going to get into the super conferences, and those are the ones that are going to get big TV deals, so they'll have more money to pay. And it's just yeah, it'll be rare for one of the other lessers to kind of come up. It's going to take a big time donor that's just like, I'm going to buy a football team and make it good.
See, that's kind of wacky because I thought to me it felt like in the past like 10 years, 15 years that it sort of was leveling out. Like I was seeing more teams, less not that the good teams had, gone away completely, but that other teams were starting to come up and certain ones were falling off.
Eh, maybe a little bit here and there, but especially now that they've really opened it up and said you can pay the guys,
Shit is crazy.
and they don't have restrictions on transfer or any of these things.
Right.
It's gonna be just super teams,
It's just yeah.
and so be it. It's fine, whatever.
Well,
I could,
why? Why? No, don't we have enough of those leagues? I mean, that's the thing. Is it not okay to actually have one that's actually still sort of unique in the way that it was?
that's gonna be your college basketball and March Madness. That's it. Well, that
Oh
people
wow.
care about.
Yeah, yeah. Because
I mean,
I
there
mean,
might
you
be
and I can sit
parity in
there
the
and say
rest of
like
the. I don't
fucking
have a
like,
clue.
I don't know. Lacrosse could be really, really even. I have
No
no
idea.
idea, but I think that's kind of dominated by Ivy League teams anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a clue.
Um,
So, um, yeah, it's fine. It's how it's opened up to. So, it'd be cool to see the little guys win, but it's gonna get harder and harder for it to happen. And so be it. That's cool, I guess. I don't really watch a whole lot of college football, so
you used to.
I used to when I bet on it more. And when CSU was good and I was in college and stuff like that. Since then it's been I'll see a big game here and there, but other than that, eh. I've even missed like championship games and been like, eh,
Oh, I don't even watch those.
eh.
I'm not saying that I don't care or anything like that. It's just like if I can't find time to watch the sports that I do like, I'm not going to make time. Like it's got to just be on. It's got to be like it's got to be the right connection of wow, this is a game that I'd want to watch and I'm here to watch it and I don't have something else better to do.
And it's not like you channel surf to be like, oh, it's on.
Hell no.
So
Right, so I have to be
the
like
accidental flip to is not even going to exist anymore.
no, I have to be like cruising for like is there any sport on right now? Um
And there's real football going on around then, and so it's like,
Yeah. Like on some Saturdays, it's kind of cool. Like, that actually used to be kind of like a fun thing. Was like Saturday was kind of like a you could watch some college football and relax, and these aren't you're just watching the game. You're not there's no like screaming and yelling because you don't care.
I would bet.
That's different. Yeah, no, that's fine.
I
That's
would
fine.
even choose which game I've been on because it would be on TV.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So, um,
But in terms of me like caring about the players or anything, no, or caring about the
oh yeah,
institution, I was like, I don't give a fuck about any college except for the one I went to,
I just root for.
and I pissed in their sinks because they wouldn't give me my degree until I paid a ticket.
I just root for the top teams to lose. So everything.
You've been you've always been consistent
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just like I want them all to lose. I want them all to have 7-4 records and then not have a clue what to do with the playoff and have it just be a disaster.
Yeah, but that's the question. Is there by having them lose like that, is there a team that you're hoping squeaks through and
Well, yeah, I'd hope like a 12-win Nevada team. It's just like we're undefeated. Like you haven't played anybody. We're undefeated.
the
You
running
have 4
rebels? Huh?
losses.
Yeah, okay.
And just have them just like lose their minds over it.
Isn't that exactly the situation that took BYU to their one and only like title game?
Yeah, that was weird. But like Hawaii went 13-0 once and made it into like one of the big bowls, and they got demolished.
Right.
And that was like, see what happens when you don't play anybody. Your 13-0 record looks like garbage.
Right.
You
right.
got shellacked by 40 points. So, but I'm all for it.
No, I gotcha. No, I can remember that. I mean, it's
And I definitely want Alabama to lose every game.
I'm not gonna fight you on that.
So,
No. I mean, yeah, there are some teams that it never breaks my heart to see lose. Alabama being one of them. Texas,
Texas has lost a lot. Like,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's been solid. Texas,
They have been solid.
Texas has been rough.
Yeah, they had a good thing going there for a minute, but
They did, and then
and
since
then
it's been rough.
yeah, who was the last real stud team like the pro players that came out of Texas, and then the
Supposedly the running back this year that was taken by the Falcons is supposed to be the end all be all of the new age of running back.
yeah, but who was the last hotshot dude that came out of Texas?
Vince Young.
Yeah, we're going way back. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah, they've had rough years.
Yeah, and then the other teams, LSU, I'm always rooting to lose.
I'm not always because they always play like Alabama or Georgia,
I get it.
and so there's plenty of times that I'm like, all right, you guys.
Notre Dame, I always root against.
Notre Dame I always root because they're cheating the system.
Yeah, kind of.
You have your own network. You're cheating the system.
See, again, that's something that I thought would come out of like Texas or.
They're trying.
Well, yeah.
They're working on it because Texas and Oklahoma just joined the SEC.
Why?
More money.
All right. Well, there's.
Follow the money. It's real easy.
Oh man! All right.
They don't even hide.
There's no
man.
conspiracy.
It is straight up. There's just trails of money left because they couldn't grab it fast enough. Like they'll break contracts. They're like, oh, that's a $20 million penalty. There you go. They're giving me 60. Get out here.
Yeah. So it's there's no conspiracy there. You can just follow the Brinks trucks, and that's where
it is a clear day.
Okay.
Over there. So it's great. Like it's funny, and I'm kind of curious, like, because now I even think they're starting to release like how much some of the players are getting as their payment stuff.
Oh.
From certain things and that, because now they can do. I think they can even do endorsements and.
I think that was
all
part of
these
it
things.
before. Was yeah, like,
Before it was all
under the table.
hush hush.
Yeah.
This guy's driving a really nice car. Oh, mom just got a brand new house.
Yeah.
We're just borrowing on future earnings.
See that was the shit there too, where it was constantly being lent stuff.
Yeah.
That was, well, it's not mine. It's the dealership lets me drive this.
Yeah.
And see, at least that little bit of like hokum, That was kind of what made like the Ohio State crap kind of like fun. Was I'm like, yeah, you guys are crooked as
You got
shit.
free tattoos, and this is what you're going down for.
Right.
Come on. It's like, dude, you know they're getting way more stuff, and you're like, tattoos?
Right. I
Unbelievable.
draw the line here.
What?
This is an outrage.
It's just, yeah, the rules were just dumb.
It was crooked as shit, but again, it was all within these fucking like half Jewish like
Oh, yeah.
Sabbat rules where it's like, nah, just go turn on the TV. If it's a goy that does it, I can watch the Mets game. It's like this is some bullshit. But I mean, they gamed it
They
so
did.
well. It was like you guys should have been racked up 100 times over. So I mean, if the whole point of this is to expose the system and say like, look, we're gonna open this up, we're gonna say like we're well aware of the crap that was going on. If the whole purpose is to say like, yeah, you dickhead should be paying taxes too, right?
Yeah. Well,
Like, you know
right.
what? That's the same logic I've always followed in terms of like fucking prostitutes and weed dealers should be fucking, paying taxes too.
I
So
agree.
never
That's why I want straight up just
consumption tax,
yep,
right
high
across the
sales
board.
tax. Yep. I don't think that'll ever happen.
I
But
don't even think it needs to be that high, Will.
um, well, I mean, it's already what 7%.
That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, if you just flat up increase it a few percent, yeah, you're probably
And everybody's paying it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
can always
there's no
give rebates to the poor and or whatever, and I don't know how they track it, but you're just like, if you're in this bracket, you probably spent this much, and so here's this refund. And your IRS has like 20 people.
No, I want everybody in every field to be paying, consumption tax, but you can increase it on luxury items.
Yeah, but I'd still have the poor
Well, see, that's the thing. I would
get
say
a
you
check
can't
back.
you can't tax like grocery food.
No, you can tax grocery food, but yeah, and then you just you have a certain tax bracket that you get. Well, you obviously spent $20,000 on stuff. You would have gotten taxed this much, so there's your rebate.
Yeah, but that's the problem, man. Is like, how are you going to do that? So, okay, so if you pay consumption tax, right, you don't track that, right? That's something where your taxes could go up or down depending on what you buy during the year,
Right,
right?
but if you make 20,000 that year,
Yeah.
you probably spent 20,000. So if you paid 10% in your consumption tax, we'll give you 10%
Well,
back.
the whole purpose of this is to make it so that you don't actually show what you earn to the IRS.
Well, that wasn't my point, but okay.
No, because the whole purpose of this is to say like, look, it's all anonymous, right? Whatever you buy is what you buy. If you buy less on that, you're look. Uh, if you spent all $20,000, right? Okay, got it. Then you paid your, let's say, 10%. All right, whatever, right? If you're in a higher bracket, so to speak, if you spend 100,000 years, okay, that's fine. Then you spent, $10,000, right? That's just how it works.
Hmm. And so the only way you're getting the people on higher incomes is by taxing higher on higher priced items.
The only thing that I would say that instead of just like full like income tax or sales tax is you'd have to also tax uh, ownership of like stocks.
Like before you even cash out or
I
anything?
don't know. So that's the only other part of this where I could say like, well, what's the other source of revenue? Well, okay, so if these guys can basically take their money and say like, okay, well, I'm not spending it, I'm purchasing stock,
Mm,
right? Um, then I don't know. You could get it on the purchase of stock.
right.
I don't know,
I can
right?
see something like that. If you got the money to throw into a stock, then you can pay some taxes ahead of time. And then do you pay taxes when you withdraw too? Or is that
That
the
seems like it
gamble?
got twice.
Yeah, so that's the gamble of stocks
I
then?
feel like there could be a big risk. I feel like because like if you
You gamble, you pay tax going into the casino. You get rich, you don't pay anything.
But that's the thing is, if you turn it around and if because I've won hand pays before, you have to pay taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to fill out the paperwork. So if you paid up front when you bought the shit, and whatever you got was what you got.
And nobody cares.
See, that's the thing is I feel like people would run on stock just for the potential of it going up.
But if that stock goes bust, then you get taxed on it. Either
Why,
way,
why would you get taxed on it?
well, you would have taxed buying it.
Yeah.
And so if your stock crumbles, you've lost, and you paid a tax on something you didn't even make, which is fine with me.
You just lose the value of whatever
Oh,
the stock is.
all right. Be interesting.
See, this is what I'm saying. You guys are always so quick to shoot down my fucking cool ideas.
Did not. Shoot.
No.
Some of your ideas are whack.
When I start, trying to revamp, like schools or the NFL, then it's
right.
like it's
No. What you're bringing up here has fun involved. Your other ideas with school and stuff are squashing the joy out of children.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that I'm not.
Well,
I'm
actually,
not
no.
down.
It's not squashing the joy out of children. It is liberating students from the nonsense that they have to deal with.
No, your schools did not sound fun for children.
Think about the kids that are
Miserable.
actually.
Like literally.
Some people wouldn't like it, and those are the people that have enjoyed far too much freedom, like wearing colors.
See,
and,
this is
and choosing their own shoes.
You're already explaining the problem with
going to the barber and saying, either the number 1 or the number 2. No, that's
No.
And you have tons of things that you can do once the school day ends. You got to remember, my school system has no homework.
My kid had no homework.
Yeah.
And he has fun. Well, they don't learn much, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing is it's boot camp in there. Yes, I understand, but you will not be asked to bring this shit home, right? It's your evenings, your time away from school should be your time away from school, period, right?
Yeah, he's already got that.
Yeah, well, he should be.
Yeah, so
he's one of the lucky ones though. A lot of kids get piles and piles and piles of fucking homework every single night, man.
Maybe it changes as he gets older. I thought it would get worse from elementary to middle school. Nope. So, we'll see.
So yeah, I mean, that's fine, but yeah, that's my argument is if you're going to sort of simulate sort of like a work environment in some ways, right? That's one of the things that I would say is like I don't believe that the job.
Wait, starting at what age are you trying to simulate a work environment?
Well, I would say that the three levels are fairly good breaks about the professional levels in between. So by high school, yes, we should be basically in full further academic or full further working mode.
So are there some colors in elementary school?
Oh, K through 5, yes,
okay,
of course.
I don't know, and then you just start making everything gray, as
grayer as you yes,
and then it's the gulag and as you're a
like
senior.
you get earth tones in middle school, but once you hit high school, yeah, it's just you're fitted for stripes. It's
Ugh.
But again, you have a work day. You have a day. It's going to start at 7:30. It's going to end at 3:30 or 4 or whatever.
Some adults don't have
Done.
work days.
Done.
Some adults bring all their work home with them.
Right. That's a mistake.
Well,
We shouldn't do that. No.
Choice.
No. It shouldn't happen.
It's a choice.
Work stays at work.
Not for some people.
Yeah, I understand.
What if you enjoy doing extra work? You're not allowed to?
No.
No. You're not. What if you like just studying to do better at your job the next day?
Well, that's fine because you enjoy studying. But the work, see, that's the thing is
What if that's part of your work?
unacceptable. Work shouldn't be able to reach you outside of work.
What if your buddy calls you and asks for help?
With his yard?
No, for something that he's working on.
Like he's at work?
He's at work.
Are you a boss?
No, you're just a
But
buddy
no.
that can help out.
Huh. Well, I mean, he can call you.
Yeah.
It's not a crime, but I don't want the office calling you. I don't want your boss to be able to fucking like get on your case like when you leave.
Are you
That's your
talking
time.
just salary or hourly people?
Yeah, I'm talking both.
Both.
I'm talking both. That salary setup is a shame.
It's a scam.
It's a shame, and you and I have both done it. So I don't.
I was fine with that scam. I had no problem with it.
I know. I didn't look the whole thing about like, well, you're always on call.
Oh, well, you had a serious problem with it. I understood that was part of the job.
No, and I was okay to do it too, but that whole concept of you're always on call is that's dumb.
That's the job.
Well, you're
And
doing
you
it.
got paid
Yeah.
incredibly well for it.
Well, I was doing the job. Yes.
That's part of what you're getting paid incredibly well
This is
for,
crap.
is that
No,
you are
no, no. This
always
is
on
garbage.
call. That was literally part of it. I don't I've got no issues with it. That was part of the job. It's part of the description. That was you were known that factor going into it. You sign off on it. That's on you.
No, it's not.
It's 100% on you.
It's not. No,
Because then you shouldn't have taken the job.
well, I was fine with it.
But you're not fine with it.
No, I don't think that should be a thing. No, because honestly, Will, in that particular case, right, that was an excuse for poor planning.
So be it. But that's what they're
I
paying you
know,
for.
I know, I know, but no, no, they're not doing their jobs.
That's that's their problem or their whatever.
I
But
understand.
it falls onto the minion's shoulders.
A person should have the knowledge of being able to count on this amount of time off at these times. They can volunteer. They can say, like, hey, I don't mind taking on some extra hours if you need a hand, right? Or if there's a pool where you're saying, like, hey, you know what? I'm always down to get some extra hours. Hey, I'm on the board. Okay. Anybody who wants it, get on the board, right? Totally makes sense. Totally voluntary, but people should have the right to be able to go home.
You have time off that you can request.
That's not the same thing.
But in that industry, it is because there's no way you know 100% when a job is going to end.
Of course not.
So you can plan and say, this person's supposed to get off here so that he can go here and all that.
Absolutely.
That gets destroyed. You're on call. You get called up, you got to go.
You throw it on the board because there are people who want to take the extra hours.
There aren't always. And that's why you're called up.
Yeah, and at that point, you can discuss things.
Or they can just say, you got to be there tomorrow.
Yeah, that's your perspective.
That's what you signed on. This was not a surprise to you.
Well,
Especially
stop fighting with me.
Especially
Stop fighting
since
with me.
you knew somebody that was working in the industry and had told you literally
Well,
that that's
stop
part
fighting
of
with
what
me.
happens.
No, you're blaming this on you're putting this on me as like something that I had a problem with. I did
had
it.
a problem with it.
No, I did it. I'm talking about look, and I understand it was part of the job. It's fine, okay? I'm just saying here that I don't think it was right. Don't stop making this about me.
I
Because
think
you,
it's
you keep
totally
you
right
keep
because
pointing me and you keep saying like you had a problem with this. Like, no, I'm talking about this as a whole, not
I think
as a
it's
Jeff
totally
issue.
fine because they let you know ahead of time. Like when you're getting the job, you're signing off to say, yes, I agree with these conditions. Then it's totally fine. If somebody's willing to say this is what we're going to do, and you say that sounds fine, then that person is signed up. You can gripe about it and think it sucks when it happens, but
No, man, because that's basically because at that point what they're doing is essentially they're saying like, okay, we are going to overlook labor laws, right? Because you're willing to sign off on it. That doesn't work that way. You don't get to supersede the law by doing that.
I feel like we were breaking labor laws anyway. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying, right? ultimately here, like this is the rules are the rules when it comes down to like, look, if you work this long of a shift, you're supposed to get a break and you're supposed to get a lunch, right?
Correct.
All right, didn't always happen. In fact, a lot of times it didn't happen, right?
Correct.
Okay, I understand that. Okay, that doesn't make it right. And just by saying like, yeah, but that's what the job is, like, does not mean that it's okay to break the law, right? Because you say like, well, you signed up for it.
No,
The
because
laws are still the
this
laws.
is the dick stuff that got California to sue that jacked up our pay.
Well, then they shouldn't have been breaking the law in the first place.
No, we were getting compensated way above what we needed to make it cool for that. And because of people with that attitude went there and said, you're breaking the law, then they said, okay, we'll scale all this stuff back, and now you can play by your hourly thing. Because before, we got just massive day rates.
Right. And what you're describing here is because we had all enjoyed the benefits of the bribe,
I was fine with it.
which I understand. I'm not fighting. Will, stop looking at me
I'm
like I'm the idiot. I'm
not-
talking about the situation, not the man.
I
Okay.
couldn't care less about the law for everybody else. This was the system that worked. And because of this attitude of, well, now I worked 12 hours and I didn't get my half-hour break. Well, the day before you got paid for 12 hours and you didn't do a thing.
I understand, Will.
So, shut up. Nope, nope, nope. It's against the law. So we need to go hourly so that we can track our hours so that we can see. All right, now everyone gets screwed. Dumb.
They shouldn't have been breaking the law.
Dumb.
Dude, those laws are there for a reason.
The system was fine.
Because you personally benefited from it.
Who didn't?
Well, I wasn't there.
Well, I mean, whoever was in there who wasn't benefiting from it.
I get it.
So it was only people that were trying to be super greedy and being like, no, I want all that and breaks. So it was people being ridiculous greedy that ruined it for everyone.
Well,
Or this, in whatever this attitude is of this is the law.
yeah, I do think that, yes, people do need to be entitled to take some breaks. They do need to be entitled to eat a lunch.
And some days you get paid to do nothing.
That's fine and dandy, but that doesn't... that you don't get to eat 2 lunches in one day to make up for it the next day.
You can.
I know, Will,
I've done it.
I get it. And look, we could both skip a meal. Okay, we're gonna survive. I can skip more than you. Okay, I get it. But that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be some structure to it where it's like, yeah, you do get to go take a break. You do get to go.
No.
Now, if you're saying that okay,
Disagree,
you can
'cause I've
structure
seen the
around this.
industry, and it just doesn't work that way. You don't just get to say, because there's not 2 people on location that are just going to be like, well, whenever you go on break, you can wake me up and I will now go do it. It doesn't work. There's not anybody else to cover it, and the rig does not shut down at a
No,
certain
it
time.
doesn't.
So, no, it works around the opportunities of what is afforded to you at the location.
You can shuffle one person off at a time for 10 minutes.
On these locations, the directional driller is the only person on with that company.
Well, that's tough.
So you're shuffling what?
Well, okay. Well, I also know in their case, yes, they can take a 10-minute break.
Everybody can at some point.
That's what I'm... You don't have to...
But you fit it in when you can.
Well,
It's not, I've worked my 3 hours, 10-minute break.
No. It's... And Will, that's not how it works. Because the thing is, in the 4-hour time, you get one in there, right? So if it's at the beginning...
And you get it all the time. There's a few days here and there where it's not going to come up. But for the most part, it ain't hard.
I'm not... Will, you're fighting with me over this for the weirdest reasons, okay? Because, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that, yeah, you easily stagger it, right? Because if it's... No, if you have, like, if you have like everything going on, right? And I got it, okay? Then you got everybody going, things are going. It's like, okay, it's like, hey, you go take a 10, come back, right? Well, if everything's going, we'll send the next guy afterwards, right?
There was two of us.
Wait, who are you talking to?
You me like there was an MWD and a DD.
Oh, I took breaks all the time. So
Right.
did they.
The ring guys get breaks.
Yeah,
It's all worked into it.
yeah, that's fine.
Right. So it was going on like that anyway. And then people had to complain and say they weren't getting paid for their break.
Well, were they not?
Who cares? You're getting paid.
Were they not, or were they not?
It doesn't matter. You were finding ways to take your breaks throughout your shift anyway. And yes, you were getting paid because you're getting paid a day rate.
Go on.
That's it. You're getting paid for the entire day. Whether you work 0 hours or you worked extra hours. You are doing what is needed for the job for that day.
Okay, so the problem I can see with this, right, is because you could make that argument if, for example, you were a contract person yourself, like we saw out there, right? We saw plenty of. I worked with contract
Yeah.
DDs, right? Okay, got it. That's your own personal business, right? The problem here is that with our company, they were getting paid for basically our services and then dishing it back out to us,
Okay.
right? Which means if they're going to do that, then ultimately it's on them to make sure that we're getting what we're supposed to be getting. And if the company's not supporting that, I mean, that is what it is. Now, look, if you're going to break it down for me and say, like, yeah, you're getting paid to take your breaks, yeah, it's okay. So it's 10 minutes, right? Every 4 hours. And then it's actually on an extended day like that, it would be an hour lunch. Right?
I don't
I think
know.
you're entitled to a 30 on a 8-hour shift, but I think on a 10 or more hour shift or something like that, I think you have to take an hour.
I have no idea. I
But
work 10.5-hour days.
we work 13-hour days. 13.
Well, I mean, I work 10.5-hour days right now.
Oh.
And I don't know what I'm entitled to.
Do you care?
No.
That's fine. Look,
if my work was hard and I was working the whole day, then yeah, I probably would care.
Well, like I can talk right now either.
Yeah.
Right? I know they're not paying me to lift weights. I know they're not paying me to chase my dog around, but it happens. Right?
I just think the system was fine, and then people with the exact arguments that you're making ruin the system.
No, I think there's a way to do both. I think there's a way to just you could take the day rate system if people are saying like, hey, let's just make sure that we get a break in there, right? I think you can find a way to do that. I think that's super easy to say like,
I think people were able to find their breaks unless it was a certain day.
And you and I work those days.
Yeah. And
with the
so
EM
be
tool.
it.
Yeah, I get it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, if all they had to do, like in the same way that they did their bullshit, like what were those things that we had to submit 2 of every month?
The safety things?
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so within that same kind of thing, if there's just some sort of like check off where like it's like, all right, just hit the X button, every time you take a break, right? It's the thing is gonna pop up, before the end of your shift. It's gonna say, did you take your breaks? Check yes.
But officially, we weren't taking a break. We were just sitting there while it was drilling.
I was willing to consider that a break.
Right. But technically, you're not on break because you're still paying attention to your job.
And I can see that. Okay, I can see that. I really can. I can make the argument for like being able to get away from it for a few minutes.
I agree. It's sometimes hard to have cooked because you're drilling so fast and you're just having to watch and all this kind of stuff and everything else, but
Or the shit is busted, right?
yeah.
Sometimes the shit's busted, Will.
And decoding's horrible and you're fighting the entire way. It was always Tenny's shift.
Yeah.
And then everything would work great once I walked on.
Low on electrolytes, man. This is like fucking 4 Gatorades and like 2 coconut waters, ass over tea kettle, and like 40 tissues all over the place, man. I was like, God damn, man, how bad this beat you up? But
And then I'd walk in and I was like, get the first survey, and then it's just clean decoding. And he'd lose his mind.
look, he's not wrong to feel that way.
Oh, I agree. But yeah,
But
I get it. Those days are hard, and it's just you're balancing the equation. Some days you're gonna have it nice and cherry. Some days it's gonna be at work. It balances out, and we got super day rates, and it was so easy.
Look, I'm not fighting with you. I think that there's a way to actually do both of those things at one time, right? I think there's a way to go out there and say like, hey, um,
Yeah, it made it real easy for them to figure out the ways to short you money.
that's the problem. Yeah,
That was the
yeah,
bad problem, because then
yeah.
they go, well, our work week starts on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And you guys have to swap out
Fucking
on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So now you're not getting overtime.
Right, right.
So yeah,
And that's the
it
other part of it.
led
Yeah.
to more abuse of the system. So no, screw it. I hate those guys that complained. Like it ruined it, and all your rules and whatever.
But what rules? And I'm not like going for. I was just saying like, hey, find a way to take a break. Like because seriously,
Find a way to take everybody took their breaks. They just weren't logging it.
well, and you're not even you don't have to log your breaks at the other job too. It's just kind of like you work at a fucking restaurant. They're like, are you gonna take your breaks? Like, yeah, no problem. You just go.
But you're loaded with people there.
Yeah, this is to me. This is kind of like. So what are you gonna do? It's like I'm gonna go smoke, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do this. You like somebody else is in the room. They poke
Yeah.
their head out. It's like, hey, the shit's going cattywampus. Could you get back in here?
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be thinking about it while you're off.
I don't care.
I get it. Look again.
I don't really take my work home, but if somebody called, sure.
I don't like the idea of work being able to chase you home, right? I don't like the idea of people being like, I have to leave my phone on all the time, right? It's that's the part that sucks to me is like where you do that because you feel like you have to do it to be competitive.
If you're aware of it ahead of time, I'm fine with it. If you get hired on and this is not explained to you at all, and then they're just like, as soon as you start, they're like, okay, you're gonna have to do this all the time, then I agree, because that was not part of the agreement. So, but if they're telling you, hey, all hours are technically open. If a crisis comes, we're going to need you to pitch in and all this kind of stuff. And you say, cool, then that's on you.
Look, and that requires honesty on their part. There has to be honesty to say, like, yes, these things that we call crises, that's actually 4 days out of 5, right? If they say, it might happen every now and then, right? They fucking lie to you, then they lie to you,
Yes,
right?
I agree completely. If they're straightforward and honest and say, you never know. It could be any day. It could be a stretch of nothing. You don't know.
Could be seasonal. Let's say we get hit really hard around like October, November,
So
December.
we're going to need some extra help and all hands on deck during that part.
And look,
And
I'm
you
going to say,
sign, say, yep, I'm cool.
and I argue most time with that, you can handle that with just having people like jump in and say like, hey, I'll go on the board. I'll work overtime.
Usually, yeah, there's usually people that would step up to it. But if your salary,
So yeah, that's the
Then-
salary bullshit is that's the wacky part. That's where they got you because it's like
I'm salary. But my company's pretty straightforward. So
right.
it's fine. I'm not having to do anything extra. I literally don't have to care at all.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, yeah, it's
so.
Like I don't think we're that far apart, Will. I don't think we're arguing like I'm not
And who knows? I probably would have agreed with you if I hadn't worked in the industry and seen what the job is and everything else. I probably just on surface would be like, yeah, of course, this is ridiculous. This is too many hours. They're abusing the employees. This is all ridiculous. When I see what being in there, what I got paid, how much work I actually do, yeah, the scales are balanced.
Well, so what I'm saying here is like, all right, so if that's the situation, right, and you have, okay, so if your crowd is cool enough to actually enforce just a little bit of hockey justice, right, where you're like, no, we look out for our own here, right? It's like, no, did you manage to get some time out here? It's like, no, it's like go, right? Where it's like, okay, well, you're just looking out for each other. If it's just like a relative humanist thing, not a problem, right? But if it's the shit where it's like, all right, well, we're the boss here, I'm gonna do it like this. Like, actually, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, don't do that. You're let the people sort it out the way that they need to sort it out. If that's the rule that you have, because I guarantee you, the people there on staff would be like, yeah, I can find a way to get you out of here for 10 minutes. Do you need to go smoke? Go smoke. Do
Oh
you need to go
yeah,
to the
I mean
bathroom? Go to the
everybody
bathroom.
did.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Is like, if that's how it goes, if the company comes down on you or they're like stupid about some shit, right? When you've got
Yeah.
a system of guys looking out for each other, because look, you don't need to. See, I'm gonna say this: you don't need to legislate shit when people are actually handling business. Okay,
Right.
that's my argument. Is if you guys are handling it like mature people and looking at it reasonably, like, yeah, you need to get a couple of minutes away from here. Go do it. Go get a drink of water. Go whatever, right?
Yeah,
And
I think everybody was. And it was
that's what I'm
people
saying.
complaining that they weren't getting paid for their hour break that they were supposed to have.
Oh, that's just dumb.
And that's why they went in is they're like, nope, this is the law. I should be entitled to this. I'm supposed to get this. Like, okay. Well, if you want to do it that way, then we're going to cut the day rates. You'll get an hourly. And then you could take your break. Make sure you get your break in. And
Well,
all
that
that
didn't
stuff.
happen anyway.
But, well, and then if you have to work your break, then technically you're supposed to get paid a little bit more per the hour thing, whatever. And so people were supposed to track all that and everything else. And yeah, then went from I worked 5 days, pay me my money, to, well, I worked this many hours. I got a call that night, so I came in for 30 minutes.
Right.
So I had to log
Right.
this in. I now have to log that. Now I have to justify why I was on call that night and I didn't sleep. Was that a serious call enough? And then if it's not, then you can technically take it away. Now we can change up your weeks. Now we can change up this. Now we can change this. And yeah, it was. And so yeah, it ruined it for everybody. But that was just in that system. So I just saw it firsthand. So that's the
Yeah, no,
personal
I
take.
got you.
But on principle, I agree with what you're saying. I get it.
Which is, yeah, if, again, it's just like I said, hockey rules. It's like, if you guys can sort it out, then that's not a problem, right? It's only when, like, you have bosses that come in there, they're like, well, they take advantage of it. It's like, no, actually, every minute of yours belongs to me. It's like, okay, that's why the fucking laws have to be in place, right? So, like, all right, but every guy that I've worked with, even the fucking dickheads, they were still kind of like, well, we don't want to run these guys into the ground.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah. No, they don't. And everyone was fair. And it was these greedy people in California, which is like California could fall into the ocean. I'd be fine with it. That went in and said,
Well,
these are the laws, so you need to enforce it. We're suing you for back pay.
right.
And it's unjust. It's like, no, you were paid handsomely.
All right. I have to amend your statement because I've been there and so have you. The people can go. I'd rather have it be inhabited by a new set of people.
Well, yeah,
But the state can
management.
stay. Yeah.
It's just faster to just flush it. Just
There's cool stuff there.
there's cool stuff. When's the last time you've gone to California?
Boy, it's been a long, long
Yeah.
time, man.
Would you really miss it?
I'd love it if the people weren't there.
Yeah. I would hate to see the Redwood Forest go. That was pretty cool. That was absolutely amazing. That's a big state too.
It's a huge
A lot of
state, man.
land.
There's a lot of stuff there.
There's a lot of land there.
But the people, yeah. And again, not all of them. right?
That's true. No, yeah, that's true.
There's some there's some long suffering people that
Put up with a lot that they don't agree with for a long time,
yes,
with no
well,
hope
yeah,
ever
and it's
changing.
just because these particular jobs have to be there for
Yeah,
now
yeah.
until they all move to Texas and they ruin Texas. So, and I hate Texas.
I
Texas sucks.
There's no way I'd want to be down there right now.
Hell no.
They're 110 degrees.
You lost your mind. I'm over here like complaining. I'm like, it's a balmy 76, right? Because
It
we've been
hit
so.
80.
I know, I
That
know.
was toasty. That felt hot.
I feel like it's usually like 96
Oh yeah,
degrees right now.
yeah. This has been fantastic.
Excuse me. Sorry.
The
No, this
grass
is.
is green. It's just lovely. Like everything's
I mean, it's
fantastic.
humid. Don't get me wrong, because of all
Oh,
the
yeah,
rain.
that's true.
There was a. Oh my god! Like one of the nights I took her for a run, I was like, it only says it's like 60 degrees out. I'm like, why am I drenched with sweat? And then yeah, I got home and I just looked at the humidity on my phone. It was like 94. I'm like, oh, so it's not me. I was like, am I sick? Am I this dog, man, she all right. So I've been trying to get her to you know that thing where if you've let your dog off the leash,
Okay.
right? Do you have those moments where you're unsure whether that your dog is listening to you or the chaos inside the dog's head has gone so staticky that you think they
Oh,
can't even hear you?
every time.
Okay. So I have been trying to beat it into this dog on my walks and stuff, like where it's like, all right, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you do your things. I'm going to walk around with a pocket full of goodies, right? And you never know what it's coming, but when I say Kansasha come, right, you come to me, you get a goodie, right? And I've been trying to do that, so it's just like starting to like break through in her head, right? Because again, I trust her absolutely to come eventually,
Right.
right? But there's something where it's just kind of where I want to say like, hey, you come here, right? And I just wanted to associate like, hey, I heard something good. Let me come get a goodie. So I'm just doing this, and I get up past the school, go up around the second part over there toward the back of that little hill before it, comes on back, and I walk into the baseball diamond area. I'm like, all right, dog. Well, let her off the leash, turn on the little glowy thing, and she looks at me for a second. I'm like, all right, buddy, and she's gone, right? And so I say it twice, and she could not give a fuck. She's just hauling ass the other direction. It's the middle of the night. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I can't even see where you went. And you have a glowy purple thing in the pitch darkness, and I still can't see where you went. So I walk over to the front of the school because I'm like, most of the time, once she gets down over there, she's going to meet me over there. Don't see her. Wait around for about 10 minutes. I'm like, I'll call her name a couple of times. Look around the school a little bit. It's like, I don't see you. I have no idea where you went. So I'm like, all right, I'm going home. All right. I get in the car. I drove home because I did. I did my laps up there. And then I drove home, and uh, it's still like 3:30 in the morning, right? And I'm in the garage. I'm like, you know what? Actually, there's something I've been needing to do for a while. So I'm over there with a knife, and I'm breaking down like 600 Amazon boxes I have in my garage, right? And just breaking them down, breaking them down. And I'm doing this for like an hour, and I'm looking up the street over here because most of the time what happens is this pink streak comes flying down that street, right? I'm like, didn't happen. Like, I don't know where this dog is. But then, like, as soon as I'm done, as soon as I'm about to go inside, I just, kick the door open. She just wanders up from that side of the street,
Huh.
right? So I'm like, how well do you know these neighborhoods, dog? Because I like, Did you come down that way? Did you come down the other? It was like, where did you come from that you knew to get your way back here?
I'm surprised you don't have a GPS tracker like on her collar or something.
Well, she has the chip, but
Well, I would think that you could get like a little tracker thing that you could just throw an app on. I would think. I don't know. I haven't looked for it, but
I shall take a note of this. Because I'm like, look, you're gonna get home when you get home. Because I mean, she's never let me down on this kind of thing. I've never had to, track her down, right? Um, but yeah, that was the thing. She just like casually wanders up. She's like, I know what you've been doing.
yeah, that will to leave, Winnie's got it too. Like it don't matter if I call her name, if I wave.
You could wave a steak in
Yeah,
front of her face.
it don't matter. She's not
Yeah.
turning her head because I've come out with the bag of steak and shook it, and she looked at me and said, "No, I'd rather just check stuff out. See ya."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Damn,
See,
there ain't
you
nothing strong enough."
Betrayed me.
I was like, "Dude, I got nothing.
Right.
There's nothing more. A steak? Like I don't know what else.
I
to
can't.
do.
Yeah. Like, what
I
do you want
can't
me to do?
increase the goodie level.
Exactly. It's like I'm not gonna wave a duck in front of you or something. I don't have one. But yeah, it's
And so like when that happens, the kids all like run and start chasing her, and I'm just like, I just walk into the house, grab the leash, walk out, and I'm like, whenever she decides to stop, because I've done that where I've caught up to her and she's let me get to her, and then if I don't have the leash, she's like, "Are you gonna carry me back?" Which I've had to do a couple times.
Yeah.
But I'm like, "Hey, come here," and she stops, and I got her, and then I start walking, and then I take like one step, and she says, "Bye," and I'm like, "Okay, so." Not worth chasing without a leash. Like, there's no point in that.
These fucking dogs are so smart, Will. It's what pisses me off. It's like obviously there's a part of me that says like I love the fact that you're like genius because I don't have to like throw you outside to pee, right? I've seen dumb dogs, right? And so there's I very much respect the intelligence of yours and mine.
Well,
But I hate that they can make that moral judgment and say, actually, I prefer to do this than this.
if you had the Ring app, you probably have hating the messages in there.
I probably would. See,
Whether it's from the garbage,
uh-huh.
setting off the Ring doorbell
Yeah.
every morning.
Well, actually, I don't do that very
Okay.
much.
Peeing in the lawn.
Yeah.
Open for sure.
No, she
Like-
didn't do that.
How do you know?
Because I know where she poops.
She never poops when she's out and about?
Not in people's yards now.
Oh, okay. Because, yeah, people put up messages and they're just like, "Your dog peed in my lawn. Like, you should control your dog to just pee on the sidewalks."
Dogs don't pee on sidewalks.
Like,
That's
no,
not how it
you
works.
should take your dog outside in your backyard, walk it, and then go for a walk.
Nope, that's what the walk is
I was
for.
like, what? Like, I bring the bag. Now, those people that let you watch your dog poop in the yard and just walk, oh, I hate them.
That's different, right? Again, that's the thing. She doesn't poop in yards. She doesn't even try to poop in yards. She wants to poop in the wilderness or in my backyard, right? And that's fine. I don't have any problem with that because she.
Wilderness is the wilderness.
Now, has she peed in some yards? I guarantee
Yeah.
it. Just like all dogs do. Like I understand. Like there was one neighbor that didn't like it because all the neighborhood dogs were hitting one spot.
One spot, yeah.
And so yeah, that dude had just like
One death zone.
he did.
You know,
Yeah. So that dude,
get it.
I get it. Yeah, and maybe with her, maybe once a week. And I've had to do that less just because there's more garbage out,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like her coming back sick. And
That's
I don't
probably
like her.
safe. Yeah.
I don't like her fucking hiding food in this house.
Yeah, that's probably a good policy.
I mean, do I find it amusing? To no end, of course. But I also have to say, like,
Are
all right,
you knocking over trash cans to get this?
Well, she was.
Oh.
Now, the thing is, she was doing that to the neighbors right next door, and I don't give a fuck, right? Because I don't like those people. But uh, there's too many other people in here where it's like, I don't mind you guys. You guys are okay. Um, yeah.
She would knock over one of those big trash cans?
No, she wouldn't
Okay.
usually knock those over.
Somebody that has a spare trash bag on the outside or
Spare
something like
trash
that.
bag, or if the can was like so full up that like she
Mm.
would, I've seen her just kind of like standing over the edge and picking stuff out.
Gotcha.
But she doesn't have the gusto to just like headbutt it and
I don't know, man. She's pretty ingenious with some things, so you never know. Oh.
no, I absolutely love it. But yeah, so I'm like, all right, you don't know how to regulate when it's, not good for you to eat. And I can't just have you like leaning on me and like, well, you ate the garbage, dude.
Stop it. There's plenty of food here.
I feed her all the
Yeah.
time. I'm surprised she's not fat, but what?
Yeah, she's staring at us like she can tell we're talking about her.
Well, we're definitely talking about you. This way you're giving me the death stare.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's giving you the side eye, but she's staring right at me.
All right, then. New subject.
What?
What did you think of your first movie that you've gone to the theater for in?
A while?
Have you gone since COVID? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
When'd you go? What?
That's with you. I went
Yeah.
to see Top Gun. I saw.
That's right. Okay.
I think I saw something else too.
I guess
But
that wasn't too terribly long ago.
it's way longer than what it used to be. Yeah.
True. True. So we went and saw Transformers, and it was good and bad, I thought. I was disappointed that it didn't have more from the original cartoon movie. And that Mirage was some sort of weird hybrid of several Transformers.
None that you'd like.
I think it kind of was supposed to be Jazz's personality.
Sort of. Well, like the whole purpose of Jazz was that he was like laid back and cool
Yeah.
and spoken rhyme
Well, yeah.
with a smoky black guy voice that was played by Scatman Carruthers.
I did not know that, but that's cool. But yeah, I thought it was. And I just don't know why they won't make some of these Transformers look like the actual Transformers.
I think they've been moving in a solid direction to make them
Closer.
compared to what they used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Scourge was cool.
More. I did too, especially at the end. I liked the effect when they started tearing his face off, and you could see that it was like, that looks cool. But there's this weird, like, well, this is the one of the weird problems that I have with movies sometimes when you have a villain that's going to pop in, over and over again, right? Is my question is, what exactly about their final encounter, right, was so different than the others that they were finally able to take him out?
Teamwork.
Was it?
I don't know.
Because it seemed like they had teamwork before too.
Yeah, they did not do the two primes fighting together like I thought they were going to do.
That's sort of it, right?
Which would have been super cool.
Right, because when you do that, like, you're supposed to come in and say, like, this person has a weakness, or I've gotten better, or that sort of thing here. That's growth, right? It's just that, well, if I come here enough times,
Well, we do this enough times, that whole 1 out of 10.
which is
I'm gonna get it.
which is why that's again, it always reminds me of the very very anticlimactic fight of that last trilogy in the Batman movies, where after Bane kicks his ass in the sewer, right, he doesn't change his strategy. The only thing he does is like, well, how'd you beat him? It's like, well, I hit him in the face more and harder. Like, you didn't think about that before?
He'd gotten complacent.
he'd gotten complete. Yeah, that's exactly it. Right. So this is the kind of thing that you could only learn from having your back broken,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean,
Because you'd be in
with,
better physical shape for that.
with the medical treatment that he had, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
dude hangs on a rope, and yeah. But yeah, that's I always find that so unsatisfying. Is
he didn't get those cybernetics put into his spine that kind of.
or something. It's shit. Like I remember. Okay, so maybe you can remember this. There's this episode of it wasn't in the original run of Batman the animated series. It was in the when they did the Gotham Knights thing after they sort of cleaned up the art style,
Mm,
and this is when they had um, Tim Drake and Batgirl be part of the team, right?
okay.
There's this episode called Over the Edge where it's from uh, Barbara Gordon, Batgirl. She's been hit by Joker's fear toxin, so her nightmare is that she dies, and Commissioner Gordon and the cops are coming after Batman. Right? Do you remember this episode?
Kinda.
Okay, and so yeah, that in that one, the cops are all coming after him, and Bane actually comes after him too. That's the fight at the end, and there's a shot there. It's fucking genius. I love this to no end. Batman's taking his lickings. It's great. And there's this part where Bane crushes into a wall, right? And the bricks are falling down, and Batman just takes his cape and he catches some of the
Oh
you remember
yeah,
this,
and has it
and
like a baseball bat.
he fucking wails on him with a cape full of rocks,
Yeah.
right? And there's something where it's like, okay, see that works for me because there's this like desperation of like this isn't something you would normally do, right? This is just sort of like desperation, and that's the thing that's sort of missing from the end of that movie is like, nah, you just gotten enough fights where you won, right? You lost every time, like handily.
Yeah.
It's like, so what are you doing differently? Uh,
That's totally fair.
the only thing that was different was, well, the little one of you wearing like a little robot suit was here, and somehow that made all the difference. I'm like,
And there was like
how?
lava flowing. Like, so Optimus was able to shove him into lava a few times. Because that, you know, if you get a good shove of somebody into lava, that might balance things out a little bit.
Solid logic. I don't
It's the only thing different because I'm not giving Pipsqueak any real credit there.
no
Other than
because
he's
I
strong
don't
enough
like
to
you.
hold
Yeah,
Optimus.
no.
And Optimus was a jerk in this one. Like, it was weird.
Okay, so I thought about it and I'm like, all right, so the whole point of this is to say that the character that you are, because this is a prequel, it's a prequel to the, well, it's a sequel to the prequel before, right?
Sequel to Bumblebee.
Right.
Prequel to
one.
the first Transformers.
So if the whole argument here is that they're saying that his personality is so driven by this encounter that that's what makes him who he is in the first
Later.
movie, I'm like, all right, I get it, but why?
Yeah, I don't.
What does this really add to the?
And then I'm really gonna see the primals or the what are they called?
Oh, the Maximals, yeah.
The Maximals. They gotta die
Why?
because they weren't around.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's. Oh,
Or are they the ones that go home?
nobody went home.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't.
Or they're gonna do some weird thing like Marvel's trying to do because you're trying to fit things in with
Oh,
other
please,
stuff,
no.
and you're just gonna
no,
be like,
no.
well,
This is-
you know, these guys didn't pay attention to this because
there's fucking like
it wasn't the right world event.
there's a hand eternal.
Yeah.
You're just sticking out of the ground right now. So I mean, yeah, I know. I mean, there's that. Again, I don't find that to be like a really like compelling like character arc, if you want to call it that. And even so, they didn't really go through it. The only thing that you could say is it's like, okay, well, he's working with a human in a robot suit. I'm like, all right, okay, it's sort of on the nose, but whatever.
But this is also the prequel, so then why wouldn't there be lots of humans with robot
that
suits?
great question. This yes.
You're doing this weird time thing where you're giving better tech to the things of the
Yes,
past that are just gonna suddenly
I know.
disappear.
I know. Don't do this. I think when it comes to movies, time only moves forward unless
You do it right where you understand that we can't make this that much cooler because otherwise, what happens unless we explain some sort of apocalyptic event that sent tech backwards?
unless your movie is specifically about that. And I do mean specifically, where it's like your whole purpose in this movie is that you have to clean this up by the time that the movie ends, or you accept that things are fucked up permanently.
Right.
And that's fine. That's fine, right? It's dour, but it's something that's like, okay, so this is the lesson of the movie, is that if you mess with these things, because that's the I didn't see it, and evidently not a lot of people did, but that was the point of the original Flashpoint was I know that you think that you can mess with these things and it'll work out okay, but you ultimately have to let your mother die,
Mm.
or it messes up the entire universe. Right? So, like, all right, because that's what the story's about. It's the same thing. It's like, well, I'm not going to shit on Back to the Future. That's what the whole movie's about.
Right.
Like, okay, but you can't just be like, so this is here. Okay. I'm going to ask you about this, right?
Like the Wonder Woman stuff. Just
You got me.
Just non-stop stuff of like she's gonna learn how to do all this, but
why wouldn't
forget it.
why wouldn't
You can't do this. So, I thought it was entertaining.
I didn't like yeah, like the robot fights.
I thought they've gotten better. You can see the difference in the
Absolutely.
robots, which is a big help. They're actually putting bright colors on some of them so that you can really stand out and makes a big difference. Because yeah, I've watched the first one again and it's just robots, like just metal going across everywhere. And
Yeah.
like this doesn't help at all. So
You can vaguely see the size.
yeah, maybe yeah.
But yeah, it's
And I think they're just kind of make the bad guys all kind of like the same guy.
it's you know what, and that's sort of that's the problem I have is with these movies is that's the spirit of the shows of the line that they just don't get, right? That's the same reason why I wouldn't want them to do another GI Joe movie, right? Because the thrill of these things was actually I don't want to say you liked the villains, but you sort of did because they had neat little things and they were going to be around. It wasn't like, oh, well, okay, so I see you. What's going to happen with you? Oh, they're going to rip off your face with the spine attached.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you guys are going to have a history and you're going to
So that when Megatron like dies, you're like,
kind of a big deal.
holy crap.
That was the whole shock factor of 1986 was like,
what is going on? You can't kill Optimus.
we've talked about this, man. It's like they've tried. I remember he got like shot a whole bunch of times, and then they were operating on him, and then Laserbeak shot him in the chest while they were operating on him, and they had to go back to Cybertron to get a part. They still brought him back to life. Or wasn't dead then. Got shot tons of times every episode. Got hit with like missiles and all sorts of other shit. Like I said, they dissected him, turned part of him into an alligator. Like you remember,
Oh
like,
yeah.
but the arms on the building, right? Yes. So like, it wasn't
Oh
dead
my
then.
gosh,
No.
I totally
Okay.
forgot about that one.
Yeah.
His arm
Was on the top of like
holding
the Empire
the
State
gun.
Building. Yeah, it was just the.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
He wasn't dead then, but it's like you're dead now. So yeah, there's this weird thing of the villains are supposed to stick around for a long time,
And they just keep giving him just a new name. Like I don't even remember who the bounty guy was or whatever.
Lockdown.
Lockdown. I'm just.
I
like,
thought he looked cool.
but he's he's doing exactly what Scourge says.
I know.
Like Scourge is cool just because I remember Scourge from the shows, and I'm like, all right, you amped him up a lot.
Yeah, I actually thought I liked Nightbird too, and that was a reference from the original show.
I remember Nightbird that much.
Well, because okay, that wasn't a Transformer. There was an episode where they made this uh female robot ninja.
Oh yeah.
That's what that character was named.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha. I do remember that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, you have to remember it because that was like the only female robot until like
Not
RC.
true. There were female Autobots in the original series before '86.
Who?
Chromia, Alita One.
Alita one. Okay.
Because they were the ones that were left on Cybertron after the. They
So
were the ones
I
constantly
remember
giving.
Alita one.
They were the ones constantly giving Shockwave a hard time.
Mm, okay. But yeah, I was like, yeah, you gotta remember. So
No, there's a precedent for it, but I mean like all right, well that's cool, and I don't think that did she die?
who?
Did Nightbird die in the movie?
I think so.
And say I can't even remember
I don't even remember
who
who
the
the
other
other
guy was. I don't
guy. He
think it
definitely
was
died.
okay.
I think somebody. I don't think it was Optimus. Somebody killed him. I'm pretty sure. Was it B when he came back?
Maybe.
I think so. Maybe. I don't know.
I get it. It's like, well, I mean, you guys
They,
have been like shooting at these guys nonstop, and now the shots work and stuff. It's like, guys,
yeah, right. Yeah. If you get hit sometimes, then it's. But that's kind of how it was in the show too. They'd get tons of shots and they'd take them, and then all of a sudden it'd be in the right spot, and it would actually knock them over, or they'd fall over and have smoke coming out. But the other times it'd be like glancing blows or something. I don't know.
I get it, but yeah, that's the thing, man. Is if this was like a one off thing, then I could understand. Or it's like, all right, well, you got to do this, but you guys have been doing this for a while, and like you don't have any like recurring villains or anything like this. It's kind of like the Marvel problem, where it's like when it comes down to it, there's been one good villain.
I thought Zemo was cool.
Okay, kind of, yeah.
I thought that was a unique. I mean, he wasn't like powerful, but the mind stuff that he did, I thought that was. I thought it
All
was
right,
super.
I can give you that, but who else?
Um, each other family members. Uh, yeah, weird. Whatever the Eternals fought. Um,
Oh, the deviants, the
yeah,
um,
whatever those things were, pointless.
the fucking hydralisks, whatever. Yeah, that was that. Um,
Um, yeah, it's just been one-off guys that are kind of power hungry. I mean, Loki, I guess, was.
you know, I guess so. But I mean, they played him as sort of like an anti-hero for
Yeah,
a while. So
yeah, he got
like,
to
all right,
go
I
in
can give you
between
that.
and
Um,
and all. Um, yeah, the rest of the time it was pretty much either one of their own or some sort of weird family part.
kind of, yeah. Because I mean, like, I can tell you who the villains were. I can say that, like, so yeah. I mean, you have like the Red Skull, and he. I do like that he showed up again.
It will not show up anymore.
No, and that's a real shame.
He's kind of solidified where he is.
Real.
Although I could see them wanting to do the movie of Steve returning all the stones, and that would be kind of a cool.
Look, I could come out for that one, right? Just to see that, but I don't want to see that story. Like,
No, but they
you
like
know,
trying to shove it. I mean, I would have rather seen that than Black Widow.
oh well, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what. I mean, it would have been cool to see Steve go back and, I mean, even just for that one. But I mean, he had to have gone to Asgard and all this kind of stuff. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know how he gets there.
Not my problem. Again, yeah, that means that he's dealing with like Doctor Strange in the past and stuff like that. It's like, all right, well, this is kind of cool, right? I would appreciate that, but that era's done.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Once you cross the Shang-Chi threshold, you don't.
I am starting to watch the Secret Invasion.
What do you think?
The first one hasn't been that bad. Are the reviews horrible? I'm guessing you haven't watched it.
Hell no.
Okay.
Because the first thing I read was like, Samuel L. Jackson is a beat up old man who's blaming himself for everything.
Um. Yeah, he's definitely not himself yet, so he's got to find himself. I'm guessing. Just fine, because he blames himself for the blip.
He shouldn't.
I know, but he thinks he should have everything planned for.
As a matter of fact, his moment that he goes out is actually awesome because he's just kind of more mad that well, I'm out of the game. Because he does. He's like, motherfucker, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's only the first one, so I'm not. I was entertained. Like I thought it was kind of cool to see what they're setting up. I'm kind of surprised they're using what's her name, Amelia Clark in this. She's
As what? What is she?
she's one of the scrolls.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, you're using her for that role? All right, I guess maybe she's gonna be in movies later on too. I don't know. And I was like, wow, that's kind of a big name to just be
But that's
using for this. Okay.
that's the problem though. Is that nobody's really found a good way to put her in anything.
Because there aren't that many good women characters, or
Well, I mean, they've tried. I mean, she was in a Terminator movie. She was in a Star Wars movie. She was.
yeah. Well, she was fine in that Star Wars movie. I thought
She was. I mean, but that's.
I don't think she's that great.
Well, that's the thing is they're like, I don't think she's really the woman for these roles we're putting her in.
I just don't think. I just don't think she's that great. But I mean, she was cool as, you know, the mother of dragons. But
Right, and that's like the argument they said about that is like, she'd probably be good in like some more like lighthearted like romantic comedy kind of stuff, but they keep putting her in like action movies and like there aren't look it's I know this sounds like extremely misogynistic. There aren't really that many women that are great in action movies, right? Because there's a certain amount of like toughness that you have to sell, right? And you either have that or you don't.
and she had it with Game of Thrones, but I think so much of that was already just in the character. Like it wasn't like she played that character,
right?
but that was like written like, and she was just following like these other ones. I don't know if they're like giving her creative power or
Probably
like just
not.
saying do like, but it's just she's very bland.
Well, yeah, they made her Sarah Connor in that god awful Terminator
didn't even
movie.
know
It
that.
sucked.
I had
That sucked.
no idea.
That was a piece of shit.
And I thought she was fine in the Star Wars movie, but I didn't think she was.
I thought she was better
crazy.
in that. Yeah, it's well. I don't think the role really gave her that much. Nobody had it like. That's the problem with that movie, and I didn't hate that movie. I didn't. I thought it was kind of fun. Like again, my biggest complaints are number one. Yes, it does feel like two movies stitched together. Like visually, like it's clear that two different groups are going at it because the first half of it is like I can't see a fucking thing. It feels like this, but it's also it has this like kind of whimsical tone, like this like fluttery music to it. I'm like, this doesn't work. Like this is clearly two people. It's like that first version of Justice League, and I'm like, God, this is so all over the place. But yeah, it's like I didn't have a problem with her in that. It's just nobody in that movie had a role that was so outstanding that I was like, I don't remember any of you people. I just remember having a pleasant feeling about the movie.
It was a fun go, yeah.
I'll never think about it once it's done, but it's like because it wasn't a movie that was designed to sit with you. I'm like, all right, that's fine. It did what it was supposed to do, right? But she wasn't an island.
Star Wars movies.
See, they sit with you for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like if she was Rey,
I'd probably have less of a problem with it. but again, the character is written in such a shitty way that you've taken away the, again, this is to go back to storytelling 101. You've taken away the ability for a character to have an arc, right? It's like, if you don't have a downfall or a weakness
Mm-hmm.
or something like this, then there's no growth. There's absolutely no growth. And all those other movies is like, this is like one man's journey, one boy's journey, right? And then to turn around and say, like, actually, like, as much as I don't like going backwards in time, and you're gonna do these prequel movies, it's like, okay, well, then this is the downfall of this character. It's like, all right, I got it. You didn't exactly pull it off with expertise. Like, it's sort of sledgehammery, and it's kind of like, fuck, like, I have to like you in order for that to work.
Yeah.
Right, I got you there, but when you look at Ray's story, I'm like, you've been good at everything from the very beginning. Like, you haven't lost a
And you don't
fight.
try.
No.
Like you're not suffering. Like, and you, if you have to go work hard, you complain about it.
Yeah, kind of.
And it was just like, dude, not you.
And there's just no vulnerability. It's like, don't hold my hand. I was like, okay, what else, right? Again, you can't. The other problem is you also can't make villains worth a shit if your hero never loses.
Yeah, that's true.
So when it comes down to it, I'm like, well, okay, so Kylo Ren's just a big fat pussy. The only thing that he beat up was a computer.
Yeah.
And then you guys just started making this like, when they're out of ideas, like, can we bring back the Emperor? It's like, what else have we got? It's like, can we make every Star Destroyer into a Death Star? It's like, why not? All we can do is just spectacle creep this. Like, this sucks. You guys are terrible at this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad. It got worse and worse. So yeah, it was, and then just keep giving her more powers. It was just like,
Exactly.
stop.
That's not.
You're not the greatest ever. Like,
Well, now you are.
now you are, yeah. And you're what, 12? Well, I guess she's like
Well, and
18.
this also is predicated on you shitting on all of the original characters, and completely downplaying all of their accomplishments,
Yeah. I
which
mean,
they've
Yoda's what,
done.
800 years old or older? I don't know. And he wasn't just walking around healing people and
No,
all this kind of stuff. And it's like, you're
you
literally
figured it out.
just tapped into the Force. And
But again, that's that short-sighted shit. Where again, it's the same thing with this. That's Star Trek Into Darkness for me again. It's like, you cannot. You have to think about what you do to your universe when you put things in there for plot convenience. You can't go in here and say, like, well, I have a personal transporter that'll take me from here to Kronos. I'm like, that's across all of space. That nullifies the use of all space travel in
oh,
perpetuity.
oh, yeah.
You don't need it. And then again,
I
at,
didn't even think of that.
at the end of the movie, they fucking do the thing with Khan's blood and the Tribbles, where it's like,
Hmm.
you just cured death. How are you going to ass pull your way out of this, right? And that's the problem. Is like, you didn't think about this when you wrote this. It's the same stupid shit in that second that fucking episode 8. It was like, well, wasn't that hyperspace maneuver really cool? I'm like, no, this is so fucking dumb.
I admit I got suckered into it.
It
It
looked
looked
cool,
really cool. And
but the
then once you
second I thought
guys
about it, I was
brought
like,
it up, I was like, oh, oh, you're right.
it was like, well, because this was the shit our dad worked on. It was like, so you do realize that if you're in a satellite, it's like, yeah, it's like, and you take a piece of metal like tungsten. It's like, yes, it's like, this is called a kinetic weapon, right? You just drop it from space, and it has the yield of a small nuclear bomb. It's like one piece of metal, right? Like, oh, well, then why the fuck do you actually need, ships
Nuclear
and
weapon.
stuff, right? If somebody comes to you with a ship, you just aim the hyperspace thing at it, and you just launch it
I
at it.
just have lots of little ships. You just have them just go out and have drones just be done.
You can't do that because again, you look around and you say, like, well, if you do that, right, then you totally change the dynamics of this. I mean, in that same fucking movie, they'd gone back in time and like, so we had bombers, but these have actual bombs now, which are far less effective and go back in time about, I don't know, 30,000 years compared to where we were, where you actually have to fly the bombers close and they have magnets. I'm like, what are you, fucking stupid? Like, yeah, I just, again, you don't care. It's like you're not thinking about.
You don't have a structure that you have to follow. You're just like, no, this is an independent movie, but it's actually tied
I thought it would
into
be cool,
everything
right?
else.
And
So,
that's, again, that's my whole argument in this, and always has been. Is like, you're not bigger than the characters that you're writing if you step into this franchise, right? If you if you're making your own thing, go nuts, right?
right.
But if you step into something, and this is the same thing where I just like, stop shitting on what you do, to Marvel, stop changing these characters, stop doing this stuff. Like, these characters came first, right? They came first, not you, not your bullshit take on it, right? Yes, I understand that you want to, like, kind of, when you have 60 plus years of retcons and reboots and all this other stuff to pull from, is like, I got it, right? The David Hasselhoff Nick Fury is not as good as the Ultimates Nick Fury, which
Right.
was deliberately designed as Samuel L. Jackson. It's like they traced over his head.
Yeah.
So, like, you know what, that works. Okay, and they pulled a lot of things from that universe. I'm like, yeah, you have like 60 years of stuff. Take the good things. We're gonna turn around and say like, nah, fuck all that. We're just gonna do. I like this. This is just making this. We're just the character and the name only.
So did you see the Fantastic Forecast?
No.
So it'll be Kylo Ren as Reed, Margie or Maggie. What's her name? Margie
The
Harlequin.
Harlequin.
Yep.
Oh,
She's
great.
gonna be Invisible Girl. Some new actor is gonna be Johnny Storm. Um, they're saying that he's supposed to be really, really good. I don't know. They're like he's gonna be the next superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't remember the name of the black guy that's gonna play the thing.
The next superstar was supposed to be Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors.
Well, that would be your Kang.
Oh.
But he's in trouble.
I haven't heard them get rid of him yet.
No, but they've gone out of their way not to say shit. The guy that fucking plays Namor just got in trouble for that shit too.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot about that movie.
Everybody did, Will.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
remember how big of a deal the first one was?
Yeah. Huh.
You know how much of a fucking afterthought the second one is?
Yeah, there's just not much to it. I don't know. And I heard that they got rid of 2 Marvel movies.
Which ones?
I don't know, but they said they came out on a timeline and 2 of them were just gone.
So the next one down the row is the actual Marvels itself.
That's the next one, yes.
That looks terrible. Have you seen any?
Yeah.
You did, yeah.
They had a preview of one of the movies we saw, and
I was not going to give it a fair shake, but I mean, it looked bad by my standards, man.
there's a bunch of characters that I really don't like.
No.
I do not like Ms. Marvel from the show.
Monica Rambeau? No. She
I
was
don't
totally in the fucking wrong the whole time.
I don't like any. And it's just those 3, or are there more?
That's just those 3.
Yeah, I don't like any one of these characters.
Nope.
So it's gonna be. I'm gonna go see it, but
Well, you have to draw the lines. You have to like stop and say like, I can't. Things will never get better unless you stop.
I did that with the Rockies. I'm not there for Marvel. Yeah.
So it didn't hurt you one bit when the Angels hung 25 runs on them.
I was surprised to see the Rockies on the cover page of ESPN when I loaded it, and I thought it was hilarious. That was the reason.
Well, I was that was just a coincidence. I went to ESPN just to check the standings. I wanted to see how all the teams were doing. This is Boston and everything like that too. Go click on MLB. See that scroll.
I was just like,
25
wait,
to
what? I was like, damn, guy.
Like, I'm glad you got one on the board, but oh, it's rough. But yeah, man, you have to stop watching this stupid shit. Like if you know, there's no way that they can make their Blade movie and it'll be close to as fun as
It's not Wesley Snipes, right? I
no.
didn't think so.
No.
Um, I will. I just don't really see why they're doing that. Like, I don't.
It just
I don't.
can't
I
be
don't
as
know.
fun.
Well, and I just also. I get he's part of the Marvel universe, but it feels like it should have been the Netflix one.
Yes.
Like, I would have been
Yes.
great as
Yes.
one of the Netflix.
That would what a great
series.
point, Will. God damn. What
It
a
would have
waste.
been good there. It would have fit their module, their
mood.
attitude,
Yeah.
the darkness, the light, all how they do it. It would have been great there. If they give me yellow Deadpool doing the walk of shame,
Oh, Daredevil?
or yeah, the yellow Daredevil doing a walk of shame. I'm like, you guys already just butchered everything they did. Like, it took you guys seconds to turn
That's the
this
problem,
amazing character, the greatest Daredevil I think we'll see. And you did this? So yeah, I have no idea what they'll do. And I just don't see how it fits in the world that much. Now, if you do, like, I think if they would have do, like, Marvel New York, and they just kind of centralize the stuff for, like, the city kind of thing and all this kind of stuff, and then they have Marvel big and then maybe occasionally you have a crossover. Like, all right, cool. But if they're trying to interweave it all together and all this kind of stuff, I just don't see how. I don't know, but I'll watch.
Well, again, this is the difficult thing that you have to like stipulate on, right? Is the more that you put into this, right, the less unique that everything feels. So, I mean, if we're going to go back to 2008, we're going to talk about that first Iron Man movie, right? It's pretty clear that there's really not a whole lot else going on in that universe at that time, right? And that's one of the reasons why. Look, this is you're talking about the thing that I normally hate in movies, and I still do in this, where it's like, so who's the villain in this? It's like bigger Iron Man,
Oh, right.
but evil. Like, all right, you know
Bigger
what?
Venom. Bigger, yeah.
Which is why like the second movie is functionally useless because it's like, so what's the villain in the second movie? It's like more Iron Man suits,
Clunkier
Iron Man suits, and a big Iron Man suit with electric whips.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the third movie?
Fire Guys.
Right. that's so when it comes down to like
lots more Iron Man suits
and a million
that were just
Iron
gonna
Man
blow
suits
up
that
at the
all just
end.
blow up, right?
That he says I'm done doing this, and then never even addresses it.
No,
And he's just kept building right away. Just destroyed
Right.
like 50 suits, and then was just like, "All right, I'm gonna build it the next day."
Oh, I guess game's back on.
Yeah.
Like car, right?
I
And
was
then
just like,
yeah, you're back out in the
dude.
street. I know. And again, this is the thing is the more that you stipulate on this, right, is the more problems that you run into. A with like nothing really feels that like unique at this point because you've kind of run it into the ground. And then number, B, letter B is you keep running into these stupid continuity things where you're like, well, okay, so this you're telling me that this badass vampire hunter was here. He can come out in the daytime. It's like, yeah, it's like, well, why weren't you fighting Thanos? Why weren't you fucking Eternals doing this? Why weren't any of you, like,
Yeah.
again, it's the same thing where you keep, like, rolling back into history and doing this shit. And then you do, like, multiverse stuff. I'm like, this is fucking dumb. You guys have run into the exact same problem that you do in the books.
And then you're gonna bring X-Men in,
That's what I'm talking. They haven't even brought out their heavy hitter yet.
and
They have to have been somewhere.
because their genetics that have evolved over time,
Right.
So.
They have to have been somewhere not helping.
just watching TV and going, that looks crazy. End of the world? Oh well.
At least with the Fantastic Four, who get like I have much love for,
But
right?
they could have them just come out. Like you could have them go to space today and just have them start.
Well, I would like it better if they went to space in the '60s.
All right, yes, you've brought that up, and yeah, that would be cool too. But I definitely don't see that happening.
Oh my god, that would be the most fun. That would be so fun. Did you know where I actually fell in love with the Fantastic Four?
Huh.
The '60s cartoon was so amazing, right? It's so bad, but there's like this passion in their voices, the voice actors and stuff. It's great in a terrible, terrible way, but I loved it, right? Um, and there's just like this corniness to it that I just really enjoy. And there's that like, if you could bring that energy, right, and you have these people, yes, this is what's interesting about it is they take this space voyage in the '60s with their '60s attitude, and they come back, right, and they show up now in 2023, right, and Reed Richards is just kind of like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. It's like you guys can vote, or whatever it is, just like you can joke about this kind of stuff, but you play it like that because really that should have been like when fucking Nick Fury goes to that pager, okay, as he's disintegrating, it should have had a number 4 on it.
Oh right, but they didn't have the rights then, so
That's what should have happened, right? That would have been the coolest thing ever. But yeah, that's the thing is I don't know if they have the guts to do that. That would be fun. And
could
again,
you see Adam Driver playing that role?
no,
Not.
I could have seen John Krasinski playing that
I could
role.
have totally seen John Krasinski playing that. But yeah, I don't. I don't see humor from Adam Driver in the slightest bit.
No, I've seen him. I've seen him in exactly 2 movies. I mean, I've seen him in these Star Wars movies, and I saw him in this not bad but super depressing divorce movie with him and Scarlett Johansson. I was like, oh, okay, so he actually has his chops as an actor.
He was also in the Black Klansman.
Oh, I didn't
The
see
one
that.
about that
I,
caught the. It was here in the Springs.
it doesn't mean I saw it.
Oh, well, I mean that's where it was based about. So.
You gotta understand. I also think Adam Driver is an exceptionally ugly man.
Well, yeah, I definitely did not see him as Reed Richards.
No,
Like not in a
no.
million years.
Why would you do that? Why the takes they have on this are very weird. I would argue that the first guy, Gruffeld or whatever his name is, I would say that he's probably the closest,
He was fine.
right?
Yeah.
Um, who's the other guy? Miles Teller.
The kid from Whiplash.
Yeah, yeah.
I think every single person they chose for that movie was terrible.
It was rough.
Just all bad.
Well, it's the movie. You know, and that's the thing is the other thing I don't want to see happen here is I don't want to see Doctor Doom turn into that same like, oh well, he showed up for a movie. I don't want you to get fucking Ultron. I don't want you to get.
He's got to be built. That the whole like make him bigger than Kang.
You have to. He's the best villain in the
Yeah.
it's a 1A and 1B between like best villains in Marvel. Who would you put as like if you're going to give me a Mount Rushmore, give me a Mount Rushmore of Marvel villains.
I'm
So you
always
have 4
gonna,
faces,
I'm
all
always
of
gonna
equal stature.
be, Apocalypse is my dude.
Totally fine.
Then yeah, Doctor Doom, Thanos, Magneto.
I'd say I would argue most people would say that's a pretty good list, right? I would argue that some people might switch out like because they might take somebody off, put the Green Goblin up there, or
Well, that's
if you're a Spider guy,
Yeah.
then it is what it is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They might kick Apocalypse off, and
Right.
and only. Well, there's
I get it.
no stop.
Apocalypse isn't the top of.
Stop. No, that's not fair. That's not fair because for a while there, Apocalypse could do no wrong. They treated him like
movie came out and
or
Or you mean in the books?
Even the books.
I didn't see him much in a long time. So
Like I went back and I read the Executioner Songs
Yeah.
series. Like that's good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he just gets like weaker and weaker as like time goes by. Like, but there's this period where it's like, don't fuck with this guy. He's awesome. He just has to rest every. It's I don't know. It's like 100 years or something like
It's
that. I
not
don't remember. Like,
yeah,
but
whenever he uses too much or something. I don't
it was like, okay, that's cool. So that's your anti burnout, mechanic on it. But it's like he's a force of nature. It's like this is actually kind of cool, right? But eventually, even in the books, it's kind of like, now he's just your guy that you show around, so that when he gets beat, like the other guys look tough. It's
Mm.
kind of what the Juggernaut is. It's kind of, you know,
Get like reading the Cura stuff. Juggernaut's supposed to be
he's
like uber badass and like
he just loses.
and they're just like
He has
this guy's supposed to like go toe to toe with the Hulk. Like
he has the powers of Sidorak.
yeah.
Like, and that's like what one of like five like super gods.
Yeah. And it's just like I'm like, man, as I keep reading this stuff that describes him, I'm like, how does he keep losing all these
That's
freaking battles?
and that's the same. That's what like you've done that to Apocalypse. Like, even Galactus has got his ass whooped.
I've
Several
never
times.
gotten to actually see him in action. Like none of the stuff I've read or anything. Like I've never really seen. I've read some of the stories of how it's gone down and stuff
Oh,
like
okay,
that,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
haven't. I wasn't reading at the time and had this stuff go on. So
Okay. But yeah, that's the tough part is like I hate you weakening your enemies for this. And like the coolest version of this, don't get me wrong, is like when Galactus became the herald of Franklin Richards. I was like, this is the coolest shit I've ever. This is like the dopest circle that I've ever seen.
hmm.
Because he went off to the future. He and Val went off to the. I love those kids too. I was like, these guys are so cool. I love that.
It's a little too powerful.
You know what? And that's fine, right? Because they're out of the way most of the time. I love the
That's
fact
kinda
that Valeria doesn't like her dad. She loves Doctor Doom.
yeah.
She's just Uncle Von Doom. She's like this is such a cool dynamic. You guys are gonna fuck that up. You guys just aren't gonna do the fun parts of this, right? You have to have. See, the weird thing for me, Will, is that how are you gonna do this like with like vampires and stuff in here? Like they have to acknowledge at some point that there is actually like magic within the Marvel universe, right? Because that's the other part of Doom they always fuck up is like, yeah, he's a
Well,
scientist. I'm like,
and I mean, like Iron Man 3. If Iron Man had gone up against the actual Mandarin,
thank you. Yes,
that would have been
that's
epic.
that's the whole reason those two are set up against each other, right?
And
Science
instead, you
versus
turn
sorcery.
it to this him into it was just such a
So many people
horrible
would say
way.
that's still the best one in the series.
What
Dude, I'm telling you, there are
Iron
a lot
Man
of,
3?
they think that is like the critics love that one. There's a large contingent of people on the internet that are like, this movie is great.
I literally say that this is the absolute movie you can miss in Marvel, and have nothing that tied into anything.
Is it the most?
I mean, some of the new stuff
Hold on.
is
All right.
pretty.
All right.
In up until Endgame.
Hold on. You can miss Edward Norton Hulk, and
Well, yeah, they kind of don't necessarily.
it counts.
It counts, but they don't really.
It wasn't supposed to.
So, all right, that's fair.
What else can we skip? What else? What are the most skippable Marvel movies?
Black Widow, but I think that was after Endgame.
Yeah.
So I'm not counting stuff after Endgame because there's still a chance that that stuff could tie and have big important stuff later on down the road. Iron Man 3, if you do not watch it, there's no character introduced. There's no
There's no
reference.
consequence.
There's nothing.
Except for the fact that fucking poser Mandarin shows up in.
Oh my god, with the pig as a butthead thing, whatever.
Yeah, remember how that was
Oh
supposed
my
to be
God.
like the merchandise, the toy of the century is like, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so I would argue the most skippable ones, yeah. Iron Man 3, I think you can skip it and you miss nothing. I also think you can skip the second one and you really miss nothing.
It introduces War Machine,
All right, I'll give you that.
so at least that's a character that's played roles and stuff.
Okay, okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. Okay, but the third one for sure. Um, Black Widow. As a matter of fact, it doesn't. It only takes away from the character. It doesn't
Yeah,
add anything.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it actually makes her backstory less interesting by.
Yeah, it uses nothing of her spy skills. Zero.
Well, no, and when they keep talking about like they used to like her and Hawkeye had that thing. It was like, well, this is the Budapest or whatever. Like, well, then you actually see it, and I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
This is your tragedy. Is like, okay, that's. Oh,
Other than it,
Ant-Man 2
oh
brought.
yeah, that didn't do much.
Yeah, there was nothing that I recall that was
Other than it
the
introduced the
Ghost.
characters. I guess Ghost might be an actual character coming up in movies. Um, Other than introducing Captain Marvel,
Okay, so I feel like you can skip Captain Marvel.
like you could have just had the pager and then just had her show up.
Sure.
And I don't
Yep.
feel like anything else in the entire Marvel universe. I guess they introduced Skrulls.
Yeah, but a shitty version of them.
Yeah,
A shitty like refuge. It's like fuck you. It's like these are scrolls, man. These guys come in as villains first, and okay. What does Guardians 2 give us?
I don't
Is there
think much.
anything in there that it's? I feel like it's so self-contained.
I don't think the characters develop much. Um, I mean, because Peter finds out he has those powers, and then he loses it in the same movie. So,
Right,
um,
right. And there's nothing to be added by making Peter Quill a half god.
it's
Um,
gone. Literally, just what they introduced in the first movie, they just got rid of in the second.
well, it's called Guardians, but really it's a Yondu movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But as far as like introducing anything to like the universe, not really.
Was Mantis was introduced, but
Yeah,
she's a character.
side
Yeah,
character,
yeah,
like that's okay. I have nothing against her, right?
yeah.
Again, I have nothing against these characters per se. I'm like just like you could skip these, and the other one may be controversial, but I think you can skip Spider-Man: Homecoming, and you don't miss anything. I think the appearance that he had in Civil War was so much more interesting than his
Oh
actual
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
Like that was actually fun.
yeah. I don't think Homecoming did. I did not care about the high school drama
No,
at all.
no.
It was a waste of time. Uh,
The second and third movies are considerably better.
yeah.
But the
So
first one, they were like, "Oh, this is cool." I'm like, "No, not really. This is a. It's not shitty, but it's not good. It's just there,
the Andrew Garfield ones were better than the first.
and that's tough for me. I don't really like those movies because I don't really like Andrew Garfield. I think he's just
Yeah, but I
no, nothing against him
wanted
personally. It's just
I wanted to see Gwen Stacy.
oh, okay.
So, and then yeah, they killed her off. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's sort of. I mean, people argue that you can wipe out Thor 2.
yeah, that's yeah, probably. Yeah. That was pretty rough.
What's funny is that I don't remember hating it at the time.
I thought it was pretty dumb.
Well, I've never watched it again. I just
Yeah, I didn't. The bad guys were just in it. Yeah, the one-off bad guys.
the other thing I remember was that like I remember sitting around for the dumbass credit sequence, and there's just like this dog like jumping on these cars. It's not a dog; it's like one of those big uh, animal things that's in the movie, and he's just loose and he's like jumping on cars.
Oh yeah.
That was like the credit sequence. I'm like,
Eh.
what's
Don't you usually give a clue into the next?
yeah, and I can't. We can't count the new stuff.
There's chance. I'm giving
Maybe it
hope that,
shouldn't be.
that
Like,
they tie into stuff, but there's been nothing that that
do you
came.
want do you want Thor: Love and Thunder to tie into anything,
No.
or do you want it to just go away and pretend just call a mulligan and say that never happened?
Which sucks because I really would have wanted to see more of Gore
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
and actually have it been
Like, good,
something substantial.
right?
Because he was a really cool bad guy.
You're supposed to be when you're a god butcher, but he doesn't really do that much
That's
god
true.
butchering.
Yeah. They hint at it, show it like behind the scenes.
Dude, fuck
Tell
that.
something
Why would you
going
do that? All right, we're complaining a lot.
on. Okay.
Just like don't. The Fantastic Four is my sacred cow, man. Don't fuck with it. Don't make it stupid. Don't make it like
Mine's X-Men.
respect.
So.
I know, and you just
Well,
haven't gotten them to take their swipe at it. And I go at this point, like when they bought the thing, I was like, I can't wait to see what they do. Now it's like,
oh
you
God,
guys,
don't keep away.
because what would they do? How would they make this? Is we'll finish on this because we're kind of blabbering, but like, what could they do right now to you that would be like a satisfying introduction? Like, how could they put them in this universe in a way that makes you happy, and how would you want them to be represented? Like, first off, who would you want your core X-Men to be in this movie?
I think Wolverine's kind of played out. I think you got to bring him in later.
I would agree that you just know they won't.
Probably not, but I'd bring it. I don't do the starting five. Or I would just try and have I would have one show up here, one show up there, or like a team show up and help out a situation. And then try like maybe go off in the shadows of like after helping out without like the heroes really or maybe like a quick talk. But just have them kind of come in a piecemeal here, a piecemeal there. So that it looks like maybe they have been helping out you know like when they showed Hulk go back for the time stone,
Mm.
she was on the roof like flinging at stuff, like taking down.
Oh,
So
okay,
maybe you
okay,
bring them in so that they've been there,
but not
but
as a team.
right, and
Okay.
so then you bring them together. Xavier finds them all somehow or something like that, and or maybe Xavier's a kid and taps into it, and they try and do a different spin on it, kind of thing. I don't know, but
No, actually, that could be kind of cool. You know, I kind of like that idea where like, um, if you have this group of people and historically they haven't been liked, right?
so they've been in the shadows.
So they kind of keep to themselves, but like when things happen, they would jump in
Because
like a
now
leader.
people with powers are cool, so they've been doing stuff in the shadows, but now it's starting to be okay and looked up to. Then hey, these people with powers are going to show up. Or you have Magneto just jack Iron Man.
Well, he's already gone.
Well, then Ironheart kills her.
Will, okay, don't. Come on, man. You can't.
Let's just wipe out that mistake
You
right now.
can't.
Let's just stop, and then Ironheart can actually become Stark's daughter.
Yeah, that's fine. Or okay, you could do Ironheart, but you just have to do it not in this corny way where it's like, um,
Oh, that was bad.
well,
That was
hey,
so
I'm
dumb.
just these mechanical geniuses are everywhere. They don't go to school. They don't. But yeah, so there's that. I think that could work. But again, who would your first roster be?
Like, I don't like the starting five, but
Well, okay. The best First Class is the best take on that I can give you,
It was. It was. It was.
and I
It was
don't fuck
great.
with that movie.
No,
As time goes by, I'm like, this is better and better. This is
it's
actually.
magnificent. I love it. So I'd go totally different. I'd grab different characters from different points and just bring them.
Would you make it a point to bring in characters like build the team out of people who has not gotten the love
I
in.
want Blink. Blink's my favorite character. Blink and Nightcrawler on the same team. I dig it.
Okay, so
Just all this fast, shadowy kind of people that can dart in and out.
I think Nightcrawler's a for sure.
Yeah,
Blink
and then Colossus because he's going to tie into Deadpool. Well, I don't even know how they're going to make that work because there's already an Xavier Institute.
well, I don't know what to tell you. That's Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine in that movie. So that's why, like, I feel like there's no way. I feel like he gets on that team no matter what.
He can't keep doing it.
I would actually like it if he were there, but it would be kind of like a limited role. Like he doesn't want to be there. Like it's just like we could really use your help. He's like, oh fuck off, and it's just he shows up as
First Class,
and like he when you really need him, he shows up and he doesn't expect it, but he's not a team player. Would you say that would your first roster have to get a proper Gambit, William?
I would love it. I don't want it to be Channing Tatum.
I'm sure you could find some Adam Driver.
Oh my god. I know
Miles Teller.
I know Channing Tatum has been wanting this role for his entire life. I'm just like, don't do it, don't do it. Oh, who's Miles Taylor?
Teller. He was. I think who's the from the Josh Trank Fantastic Four. He was the Mr. Fantastic.
Oh,
he was Rooster in
gotcha.
Top Gun Maverick.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Whiplash kid. Okay.
Yeah, the Whiplash kid.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know who you have played this, but I mean, so
that is not Gambit.
I would argue that if you could actually divorce the team sort of from Wolverine a little bit and have Gambit in and have some of that mysterious aspect in there versus
he's a shadow guy.
It's like this would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I would totally bring in all of the people that are kind of darker, shadowy kind of people. Storm could work because she's a pickpocket and has done all sorts of stuff and could do things with the weather that.
Are you going to make her cool like that, or are you going to make
the new one?
Oh man,
she was pretty cool.
Well, okay, yeah, but God damn it, she should have been in way more of that movie. Actually,
I agree. She was awesome.
She looked great.
She was literally
fantastic.
Storm.
Yeah. How'd they fuck that up?
Way better than Halle Berry, and I thought Halle Berry was actually okay.
I didn't have a problem with her. It's like it's not her. It's like you don't. I feel like you don't really want her here.
Yeah.
Like you don't write her anything to do. I'm like, that's not their fault. Yeah, well, and eventually they're gonna have to do a good version of Rogue.
I hope so.
Well, as far as I'm concerned,
this
end
universe, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, this universe doesn't work unless she steals Captain Marvel's powers.
Oh, that would be fantastic. They already don't like her.
Nobody likes her.
So let's just do it. Bring her in as the first go. Right here.
If that's your link to X-Men, I could be...
If at the end of Marvel, somehow that she's in there and she steals her powers...
And that's okay, because that means that... Remember, that Rogue's jam on that was... She was doing that at the behest of Mystique and Destiny and... God, who were the other...
Wasn't it the Brotherhood?
Were they part of the Brotherhood at that point?
It might have been. I think so.
So, like...
Yeah.
Like Toad and Sabretooth were part of that or some shit?
It was all Pyro and...
Or was that when...
Or maybe I'm just thinking of the show.
You're thinking... Okay, because there's a time where, like, Sabretooth's part of the Marauders.
Yeah.
The Sinister's goons. So maybe not him, but yeah, I know that she's doing it at the behest of him because...
Yeah, because it wasn't with Magneto.
Oh,
So yeah, it
No.
must have been the Marauders.
But it was definitely Mystique
Yeah,
and
Destiny for
and
sure. So
Destiny.
that must have been with the Marauders.
See, okay, now there's our in.
Sinister, I would have loved.
Okay, well there you go. And you
Sinister.
know what? And then that's your in there because they're working on that. You know what? You work from like the Morlocks up.
Dude, if they, I would give that movie a 10 right now if they just wiped her out with Rogue. And I haven't even
I could
seen it.
well, that's the only interesting thing that's happened in
love
Captain Marvel's history.
I love it.
Or Ms. Marvel. I'm sorry. I'm going back. I'm taking away from
Oh.
myself. But yes, but that's the only interesting thing that's ever happened in her history.
I would love it.
Okay, cool. So there's our fucking dork talk. But
This is what we do when Pat
it was a
wasn't
long
here.
time coming.
Where Pat would have been sitting
So
silently.
so we're done. We're at 2 hours.
Ooh, gotcha.
So we're just done. Okay,
All
there
right.
you go. Bye.